Have you ever trusted someone because they seemed endlessly kind, only to realize later that their silence hid something much deeper? What if the person who always listened to your pain, who smiled softly when others turned away, could also become the most dangerous soul you've ever crossed? Sounds impossible? Let me tell you a secret. Pisces, the gentle dreamers of the Zodiac, are not what they appear to be. Yes, they're compassionate. Yes, they're forgiving. Yes, they'll offer you their heart before you even ask for it. But behind that kindness, behind that calm smile, lives a silent storm. A hidden strength. A power that most people never see. Until it's too late. In today's video, we're going to explore the shocking truth behind Pisces. You'll discover why their empathy is both their greatest gift and their deadliest weapon. Why the person who saves everyone else often forgets to save themselves. And why, when pushed to the edge, Pisces transform from the nicest person you know into the most dangerous force you never expected. So, if you've ever been hurt by someone's silence, or wondered why kindness can sometimes cut deeper than cruelty, this video is for you. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If you find this topic as fascinating as I do, give this video a like. And share it with someone who needs to hear this. Now, let's uncover the hidden power of Pisces. Have you ever met someone who seemed to understand you? Without saying a word? Like they could feel what you're feeling. Even when you couldn't explain it yourself? That's not magic. That's Pisces. And it's not just empathy. It's something deeper. Something that goes beyond what most people can understand. Pisces don't just feel your emotions. They absorb them. They carry them like their own. Imagine walking through life, constantly sensing the sadness behind someone's smile, or the fear behind someone's confidence. That's the Pisces experience. It's a gift, but also a quiet burden. That's why so many Pisces people seem gentle, calm, and safe to be around. They're not performing kindness. They live it. Because for them, being kind isn't an action. It's who they are. But here's what most people miss. Beneath that soft exterior lies someone who's been carrying too much. For too long. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever felt exhausted? Not because of your own problems, but because you've been holding space for everyone else's? That's what Pisces do every day. And it's why they're not as fragile as people assume. Emotional pain doesn't just touch them. It shapes them. It builds layers of hidden strength most people will never see. And then comes their intuition. You know those moments when someone asks you if you're okay, even though you've said nothing at all? Chances are, that person might be a Pisces. Their intuition isn't a mysterious power. It's their natural connection to human emotion. While others rely on logic or observation, Pisces read people on a different level. They sense when something's wrong before it's obvious. When a friend is breaking down behind forced laughter. When a partner needs comfort but doesn't know how to ask. They act before being asked. Because they feel it. Deep inside. But there's another side to this gift. Their intuition also warns them when something isn't right. When someone is lying. When boundaries are being crossed. Pisces rarely confront immediately. They watch. They listen. Their silence isn't ignorance. It's analysis. Because while Pisces hate conflict, they're quietly preparing. Deciding whether to protect you or protect themselves. This is why hurting a Pisces rarely brings immediate reaction. But when they decide to respond, their actions can be both precise and surprising. Forgiveness is another misunderstood part of who Pisces are. Many see them as overly forgiving, even naive. But forgiveness, for Pisces, isn't weakness. It's survival. Holding on to pain feels too heavy for someone who's already carrying so much. They let go. Not because they forget, but because they need peace more than revenge. In a way, forgiving others is how Pisces forgive themselves. They don't want anger living inside them. Yet here's the twist most people don't see. Just because Pisces forgive doesn't mean they trust again. They're slow to anger, quick to forgive, but almost impossible to fool twice. I remember a story from someone who once dated a Pisces woman. He betrayed her trust once. She forgave him. Softly, with a smile. She even stayed. But slowly, without a single argument. She drifted away. One day, she was simply gone. Not physically. Emotionally. She had been protecting herself long before he realized it. That's Pisces. They forgive with words, but protect themselves with silence. And then there's their selflessness. It's so natural to them that most Pisces don't even realize they're doing it. They'll give you their time, their energy, their emotional support, without keeping score. It's not for attention, not for praise. Helping others simply feels like the right thing to do. But life teaches them hard lessons. Because people often mistake selflessness for availability. And once Pisces realize they're being drained, something inside shifts. Slowly, they start to pull back. Not out of anger, but out of quiet self-preservation. Think of a Pisces like a well. People come to draw water. Again and again. And Pisces will keep giving. Until one day, the well runs dry. And that's when they realize they've been so focused on saving others that they forgot to save themselves. It's a painful moment, but also a turning point. Because from that moment, a new kind of Pisces emerges. One who still cares, still loves, still helps, but with boundaries. Silent, firm, and non-negotiable. So if you have a Pisces in your life, pay attention. If they start to pull back, if their warmth becomes distant, it's not because they stopped caring. It's because they've finally started caring for themselves. And if you are a Pisces, let me tell you this. Your empathy is your gift. Your intuition is your compass. Your forgiveness is your healing. But your boundaries are your strength. Protect your emotional world. Not to shut others out, but to make sure the right people are allowed in. Because in the end, even healers need healing. And even the kindest souls deserve protection. Have you ever wondered why people feel safe around certain people without even knowing why? It's not about words. It's not about grand actions. Sometimes, it's simply about presence. Pisces have that kind of presence. When you're near them, you feel calmer. You feel understood, even when nothing is said. It's as if their energy whispers to your heart, telling you that you're safe, that you're accepted, that whatever you're carrying, you don't have to carry alone. This gentle presence is not something Pisces choose to have. It's just who they are. Like a quiet space in the middle of a loud world. People find them. People trust them. And Pisces, they rarely turn people away. They open their hearts, their time, their energy. They listen. They comfort. They understand. Not because they're trying to be heroes, but because they genuinely care. But let me ask you, have you ever carried too much emotional weight from others? Have you ever stayed up at night worrying about someone else's problems, while your own life fell apart? That's what happens to Pisces, over and over again. Their gentle nature attracts people who are hurting, people who are lost, people who need healing. And Pisces give. They listen without judgment. They make people feel seen. But every time they do, a little piece of their own energy fades. And unless they step back to recharge, they risk losing themselves in the process. This is why many Pisces reach a moment in life when they change. Quietly, slowly, but deeply. They begin to protect their own peace. Not by becoming cold. Not by rejecting people. But by learning when to say enough. By realizing that being a safe place for others doesn't mean letting themselves drown in other people's pain. Listening. Such a simple word. But for Pisces, it's an art. Think about the last time someone really listened to you. Not just nodded while you talked, but truly listened. Listened in a way that made you feel understood. Even when you didn't have the right words. That's what Pisces do. Their listening is different. It's patient. It's silent. It's deep. They don't interrupt. They don't rush to give advice. They let you speak. They hear not only your words, but your pauses, your hesitations, your emotions hidden between sentences. People say Pisces are great friends. But it's not just friendship. It's therapy without a couch. It's healing without medicine. Because being heard, truly heard, is something rare. And Pisces give that gift, often without realizing how precious it is. But there's a hidden cost. Because every story they hear, every pain they absorb, stays with them. It's like collecting emotional dust that never washes off. That's why Pisces sometimes seem tired for no reason. It's why they retreat suddenly. They're not being distant. They're trying to breathe. They're trying to empty the emotional weight that listening has placed on them. So, if you know a Pisces who's always there for you, maybe ask them how they're feeling for once. Maybe give them space to speak, without expecting them to carry your pain. Sometimes, the strongest listeners need someone to listen to them. Now, let's talk about creativity. But not the creativity you might expect. When people think of Pisces, they think of artists, poets, musicians. And yes, many Pisces express themselves through art. But their creativity goes far beyond that. For Pisces, creativity is a way of thinking, of feeling, of surviving. They use their imagination not just to create beautiful things, but to navigate life itself. When they face problems, they don't rely only on logic. They blend emotion with intuition, crafting solutions that others wouldn't even imagine. Their creativity shows up in the way they comfort people, in the way they tell stories to inspire hope, in the way they make the ordinary feel magical. But why does this matter? Because their creativity is their therapy. It's how they release the emotional storms trapped inside them. When life overwhelms them, they create. A painting, a song, a late-night conversation filled with metaphors and dreams. It's their way of healing themselves, while healing others. Yet, just like their empathy, their creativity has a hidden side. When Pisces feel threatened, when they feel betrayed or cornered, they channel that same creative energy into defense. They become strategic. They think of ways to protect themselves, to shield their emotions, to distance themselves from harm. And they do it quietly, subtly. You might never realize it's happening until they're already gone. And then comes compassion. Deep, overwhelming, all-consuming compassion. Pisces care so much that it sometimes breaks them. They don't just feel sorry for people. They feel their pain. They carry it. They try to fix what's broken. And when they can't, they blame themselves. Even when it's not their fault. Have you ever watched someone you love fall apart, knowing there's nothing you can do? Pisces live in that feeling often. Their compassion is a blessing. And a burden. It connects them deeply to others. But it also drains them. Because every broken heart they comfort, every lonely soul they hold, leaves an invisible scar inside them. This is why so many Pisces end up feeling lost. not because they don't know who they are, but because they've given so many pieces of themselves to others that they forget what's left for themselves. If you're a Pisces, or you love one, remember this: compassion doesn't mean losing yourself in someone else's pain. You're allowed to step back. You're allowed to protect your heart. You're allowed to say no. Being kind doesn't mean being empty. And now, we're about to dive even deeper. Because in the next part of this video, you'll discover why Pisces' quiet patience, their seemingly endless kindness, and their forgiving heart can all become a silent storm. A hidden force that most people never see coming. And trust me, the final 3 truths I'll share with you might just change how you see Pisces forever. Have you ever wondered why some people seem endlessly patient? Like no matter what you say or do, they just listen, quietly, calmly, without rushing to judge you. That's Pisces. Their patience isn't about ignoring the problem. It's about choosing compassion over conflict. Pisces understand that everyone is fighting a battle inside. A battle they often can't see. So they wait. They listen. They try to understand. Even when they're hurting inside themselves. But patience, for Pisces, isn't infinite. There's a quiet line that, once crossed, changes everything. And here's the thing most people don't realize: Pisces don't set this boundary out loud. They don't raise their voice. They don't argue. They simply withdraw. Slowly. Gently. But completely. By the time you notice the change, they're already gone. Emotionally. Mentally. Sometimes even physically. It's easy to mistake their patience for weakness. Easy to assume they'll always stay. But behind that soft exterior, there's a strong core. A choice to be kind, yes. But when pushed too far, that choice turns into quiet protection. They won't fight you. They won't try to hurt you. But they'll protect themselves in ways you won't even see. Until it's too late. Have you ever met someone whose kindness felt like a safe haven? Like being with them was stepping into a peaceful place where you could finally breathe? That's what Pisces offer. Their kindness is so real, so deep, that it disarms people. It breaks down walls. People open up. People trust. People let go of their fears. Because Pisces create that space for them. Not with big words. Not with promises. Just by being there. By understanding without judgment. But that kindness, it's not endless. And it's not unconditional. It's a choice. A gift. And when people mistake it for weakness, when people cross their boundaries thinking they'll always forgive, that's when Pisces change. They don't become cruel. But they become firm. Quietly, powerfully firm. Their kindness stops being a soft comfort and becomes a wall. A silent message saying, "This is as far as you go." And that's something people often don't expect. Because when you've been comforted by a Pisces, when you've leaned on their kindness, you don't imagine that one day you could be the one on the outside. But it happens. And when it does, it teaches you something important. Kindness is a strength. And it deserves respect. Let's talk about their sensitivity now. Pisces feel everything. Every word, every silence. Every shift in energy around them. They pick up emotions like radio signals, often before others are even aware of them. This sensitivity allows them to connect with people deeply. It makes them nurturing, empathetic, warm. But it also makes them vulnerable. When someone they love is hurting, Pisces feel that hurt like it's their own. They carry it. They try to fix it. And if they can't, they suffer in silence. But here's where it gets powerful. Because that sensitivity? It's not just about pain. It's also their strongest defense mechanism. When Pisces sense danger, whether it's emotional manipulation, betrayal, or just someone trying to take advantage of their kindness, their protectiveness activates. Not with aggression, but with sharp awareness. They notice things others miss. They calculate silently. And when it's time to protect themselves or their loved ones, they do it with a quiet, relentless strength. You see, protectiveness in Pisces doesn't look like shouting or confrontation. It's more like a wave pulling back from the shore. Subtle at first, then powerful, then unstoppable. And if you're on the wrong side of that wave, you won't even realize it until it hits you. Now let's dive into something most people never believe about Pisces. People assume that because Pisces forgive easily, they forget easily. But that's a mistake. Pisces can hold a grudge longer than you'd expect. Not in a loud, angry way, but in a silent, strategic way. When someone hurts them deeply, Pisces don't always confront. They observe. They process. They replay the situation in their minds. Again and again. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-protection. While you think everything's fine, Pisces might be building a quiet wall inside their heart. A place where they lock away the pain, study it, and decide how to protect themselves from it ever happening again. And when the time comes to act, they do it carefully, strategically, without warning. Their way of holding grudges isn't about revenge. It's about emotional safety. Imagine being in a relationship or friendship where everything seems calm. But underneath, the other person has already made the decision to walk away. They're just waiting for the right moment. That's what it can feel like when you've hurt a Pisces too many times. By the time you realize the distance, their mind and heart have already moved on. And that's the paradox of Pisces. So soft, yet so strategic. So loving, yet so protective. So forgiving, yet so unforgettable. Maybe now you're starting to see why Pisces are so often misunderstood. They look like gentle souls. And they are. But behind that gentleness is a storm. A quiet, relentless storm that only awakens when needed. But this is just the surface. Because in the final part of this video, we'll explore the last 3 truths. The ones that reveal why Pisces' emotional intelligence can turn into a subtle form of power, why their silence is often a form of strategy, and why the nicest Pisces can become the most dangerous storm you never saw coming. Have you ever looked at someone who seems calm, but felt like they're carrying a hidden storm inside? That's often what it's like with Pisces. On the surface, they're peaceful, quiet, soft-spoken. But beneath that calm exterior, emotions swirl like deep ocean currents. Pisces feel everything more intensely than they show. Joy, sadness, love, anger. It's all there. Under the surface. Hidden. Protected. Most people see only their peaceful side. Their patience. Their soft smiles. Their gentle words. But what they don't realize is that this calm is a choice. A layer of protection over an emotional world so deep, so complex, that even Pisces themselves sometimes struggle to navigate it. And when that emotional depth is ignored or taken for granted, that hidden storm begins to rise. Not in anger, but in quiet withdrawal. In silent distance. In a sudden, unexpected change that leaves others wondering, what happened? Pisces know how to hide their feelings. But they don't do it to deceive. They do it to survive. Because if they allowed their full emotional world to be seen by everyone, it would overwhelm not just themselves, but everyone around them. And then, there's something even more surprising about Pisces. People know them for their soft voice, their gentle tone. When a Pisces speaks, people relax. It feels safe. Comforting. Like being wrapped in warmth. But this voice, this softness, can change. And when it does, people listen. When Pisces feel hurt, when they've been disrespected, when their emotional boundaries are crossed, their voice sharpens. Not loud, not aggressive, but sharp, clear, unmistakable. It's like a gentle stream turning into a cutting edge. Their words, usually so soft, become precise, direct, almost surgical. Not to hurt, but to protect, to defend. And if you've never heard that side of a Pisces, count yourself lucky. Because when their voice changes, it's not just about anger. It's a sign, a final warning, a message that their kindness has been mistaken for weakness for too long. This shift can shock people, because they expect Pisces to always be forgiving, always gentle. But in that moment, Pisces remind everyone, their softness was a choice. And when respect is lost, their tone reflects a boundary that cannot be crossed again. Think back to a moment in your own life when someone surprised you with their strength. Someone you underestimated. Someone who, without raising their voice, made it clear they would no longer accept being treated poorly. That moment, that shift, is exactly what happens when Pisces reach their limit. But what's even more fascinating is the unpredictability behind their reactions. Pisces can tolerate pain for a long time. They absorb it. They process it silently. But when their breaking point comes, it often surprises everyone, even those closest to them. Their reactions can be intense, sudden, and completely unexpected. Imagine someone who's always been calm and soft. One day, without warning, they say no. They cut ties. They walk away. Not out of rage, but out of emotional exhaustion. That's Pisces. They don't like conflict. They avoid it whenever possible. But when pushed too far, they don't just react. They transform. Their sensitivity fuels a fierce protectiveness that no one saw coming. This unpredictability is part of what makes Pisces so complex. You think you know them. You think you understand their limits. And then, one day, you realize you never really knew them at all. Because the truth is, Pisces don't always show their full selves to everyone. They reveal layers slowly, carefully. And sometimes, when hurt, they choose to reveal nothing at all. And here's where it gets even deeper. Loyalty. For Pisces, loyalty is everything. When they love fully. They commit. They dedicate their heart to people they trust. Their loyalty isn't casual. It's not given easily. It's built over time, through shared moments, through quiet understanding. But betrayal changes everything. When a Pisces feels betrayed, their loyalty doesn't just disappear. It transforms. It becomes a weapon. Not to hurt others, but to protect themselves. Their loyalty turns inward. Becomes a shield. Becomes the silent strength that helps them walk away without looking back. And here's what's interesting. Pisces won't always confront the betrayal. They won't seek revenge. They won't create drama. Instead, they'll quietly observe. And then, without warning, they'll retreat. Sometimes forever. It's easy to think they're overreacting. But what people forget is that betrayal for Pisces isn't just about broken promises. It's about broken trust. And trust, for Pisces, is sacred. If you're a Pisces listening to this, remember that your loyalty is a gift. Don't offer it to people who only see your softness but ignore your strength. And if you've ever heard a Pisces, know this. Their silence isn't confusion. It's clarity. It's the sound of them protecting what's left of their heart. And yet, even when hurt, Pisces don't respond impulsively. Their emotional pain doesn't lead to reckless anger. It leads to thought, to strategy. They step back. They reflect. They process. And when they act with precision. It's one of their greatest hidden strengths. Instead of lashing out, they channel their pain into careful decisions, into calm actions, into emotional boundaries that are impossible to cross once set. And when you finally notice that they're gone, that their warmth has turned to silence, that their loyalty has become distance, it's already too late. But don't think Pisces have become cold. No. They've simply learned to protect themselves, to value their own peace above fixing others' broken promises. And now, you may be wondering, what could be deeper than this? What could be more powerful than silence? Loyalty and hidden storms? Stay with me. Because in the final 3 truths, we'll uncover why Pisces' quiet influence shapes people without them even realizing, how their emotional intelligence becomes a tool for self-defense, and why, when crossed, the kindest Pisces becomes the storm you never saw coming. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to influence others without saying much at all? Not through power, not through loud opinions, but through something quieter, something deeper. That's Pisces. They don't force their ideas. They don't demand attention. Instead, they guide people softly, gently. And by the time you realize it, you've already been led. Pisces influence others in ways that feel natural. They listen. They understand. They empathize. And from there, they shape emotions without needing control. Their power isn't obvious. It's subtle. But it's real. Think of a conversation where someone simply listened to you, made you feel understood, and somehow helped you find answers you didn't know you were looking for. That's Pisces. Their emotional insight lets them guide people's thoughts without telling them what to think. And they don't do it to manipulate. They do it to heal, to build harmony, to protect peace. But when they need to, when their boundaries are threatened, that gentle influence becomes strategic. Pisces know how to steer conversations away from harm. They know how to pull back their energy so others feel the shift. They don't fight for control. They let you notice the silence. And in that silence, they remind you of their worth. Their power is not about dominance. It's about emotional wisdom. They shape outcomes quietly, through patience, empathy, and presence. That's why you should never underestimate a Pisces. Their silence is not weakness. It's mastery. And then, there's the most hidden truth of all. Emotional intelligence. People assume it means understanding your own feelings. But for Pisces, it's something far more powerful. They understand not only their emotions, but yours. And when necessary, they can use that understanding to protect themselves, or to defend those they love. This isn't manipulation. It's survival. If you hurt a Pisces, if you betray their trust, they won't lash out. Instead, they'll watch. They'll observe. They'll feel what you're feeling, often before you realize it yourself. And when they act, it's calm, precise, surgical. Because Pisces can sense weaknesses, emotional gaps. They know when you're unsure, when you're guilty, when you're pretending to care. And if protecting themselves requires it, they'll use that insight. Not to destroy you, but to step away, to close the door, to make sure you can't hurt them again. Their emotional intelligence isn't just kindness. It's defense. It's quiet protection. It's the reason why, when crossed, the softest Pisces becomes the most dangerous opponent. Because you won't see it coming. While others argue, Pisces remains silent. While others fight, Pisces disappear. And when you finally realize they've left, you'll feel the absence of their energy more than any spoken goodbye. Because that's the real power of Pisces. Now, maybe you're sitting there, thinking about someone in your life. Or maybe, you're realizing this is you. So, what's the lesson here? It's simple. Kindness is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Softness is not fragility. Being gentle is a choice. And choosing to care, in a world that often teaches you to be hard, is one of the greatest strengths anyone can have. Pisces are proof of that. So, if you see yourself in this video, take a moment to honor your emotional world. Protect it. Value it. Know that being empathetic doesn't mean letting people drain you. And if you know a Pisces, now you understand why their silence sometimes says more than their words ever could. If this video touched something in you, if you saw someone you love, or if you felt understood for the first time, I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. Give this video a like. And share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Because the quietest people often carry the deepest stories. And we're just getting started. In the next videos, we'll explore the hidden emotional strengths of other zodiac signs, and uncover truths that might just change how you see yourself. So stay close. Your story isn't finished yet.